Let's not get some more information, discuss this a bit. So allow me to invite a couple of guests. Mariam Salah, our correspondent, joining us from Beirut. Karim Sharar is a political analyst. He's also in Beirut. Good to see you both. So Mariam, beginning with you, we just were talking about this maybe a couple of months ago, about this investigation that was impeded, and then the judicial officials that were blaming each other for this thing, and also Hezbollah's stance as we're talking together. So where did this come from? I know it's from the Bar Association, but is this firm responsible for the whole thing, or there are more aspects to this?
Absolutely not. Of course, the beginning, the initiation of how the chemical to Beirut, that is probably the responsibility of this company, and this is probably maybe a ray of light for of the victims. Very significant that we do start out from where these chemicals came from and were brought in and shipped and chartered. They were chartered in 2013 by this Savaro company, but it's not the only one that is responsible. After it came in, who allowed it to be stored in a storage which is very much hazardous? Who allowed it to stay? You have the judges during the time. You have the politicians who were during that time that were, of course, responsible for this, for those, especially for those who knew about it. And that is one of the main issues and the questions that those who have against the current prosecutor. They are saying that he's not taking a look at those who did accept the storage of such chemicals in the Beirut port during that time. He's only focusing on those who were in power when the explosions went off in 2020. So that is one of the main questions that we have here. And that is why you have this judicial issue being very much impeded, being stopped. Many are accusing the current prosecutor of politicizing the entire case. And there are also issues, it seems, that it has become a tit for tat issue between the judges themselves, the prosecutors that are in the judicial court and faces the prosecutor of that is responsible for the Beirut port blast. So it also has in itself become politicized, in addition to the fact that the judges are not taking care of it as they should, in a manner where you take a look at everyone who was responsible during that time and throughout those who were in power. So basically, yes, this could probably be something significant for recompensation when it comes to the families. However, when it comes to the true justice of those who allowed it to remain in Lebanon, that is something we're still waiting for.
Okay. Now, Karim Sharar, as Mariam just mentioned, that this is not the whole thing. So maybe the families are going to be compensated, but what should be done so that this case could be well looked into, see who or which entities or people have been responsible and which one is to blame to what degree? How could we make sure that justice will be served in this case?
Well, you're asking us, it's a somewhat difficult question because like your correspondent said, everything in Lebanon or this investigation itself, it's been very much politicized ever since not just day one, hour one, because just after the blast occurred, I mean, a lot of people remember how fingers started to be pointed at the wrong people without any evidence whatsoever. Fingers started to be pointed at the resistance without any evidence whatsoever. So you can see politicization for this file from day one. As for due process, or if the investigation followed the appropriate procedure, well, that is also a resounding no, because the judge, as your correspondent said, has not been following the correct procedure. He's been targeting a select few, mainly those who were in power when the blast occurred. There are certain political parties or political figures who haven't been questioned at all, and if they were, it was merely out of formality. So if anything has to happen, we need to have, I mean, if any justice is going to be served, the current investigator has to be removed from the case. Politicization is at its most in this case, not to mention the fact that the U.S. Embassy has been knee deep in this whole thing. I mean, they have been clear. I mean, their fingerprints are all over the case. They've been giving this special kind of attention to this case in particular, and in particular with relation to the judge, Tariq Bitar, who has been known to have certain meetings with the U.S. ambassador, with the former U.S. ambassador.
Okay. So, Karim, the way that you put it and the way the situation is in Lebanon, so does this mean that this case will continue to remain in mystery, and we will never dig out the facts about this?
It's been known to happen, not just in Lebanon, in many countries around the world, but it's been known to happen in Lebanon, because if you want to have civil peace and if you want to avoid civil unrest, then the people that were indeed in charge of this horrific disaster may never come to light. We may never know who was really behind this. We may never know, if we do know who was behind this, we may never see any justice, unfortunately. This is how things go in Lebanon, because we want to avoid civil war. We want to avoid a repeat of the past.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Mariam Saleh, correspondent, and Karim Shahrar, political analyst in Beirut, with their comments and contribution. Thank you for watching this episode of the News Review.